Hello and welcome to another Game Nexus video. Today we're going to be taking a look at Dead or Alive 2 for the PlayStation 2. Now before I get much into this video, we're going to first go through a history lesson of how all these crazy versions of Dead or Alive were released. First, of course, on October 16th of 1999, you had your arcade version of Dead or Alive 2. And then shortly after that, you had, of course, your North American Dreamcast version on February 29th of 2000, which only gave them a few months to release this. That's why it didn't have all that many extras or anything in it. About a month after that, on March 30th of 2000, the PlayStation 2 original Dead or Alive regular edition came out. It added a couple of costumes and a few things here and there. And then shortly after that, which was July 14th of 2000, you get your European Dreamcast version of Dead or Alive 2. And then on September 28th came the Japanese versions, which of course were these two with the two alternate covers. As I discussed in the video, there is no such thing as limited edition. They're both just the version. They're both just the Japanese version on Dreamcast with a different cover and catalog number so they can differentiate which cover is which. And then we go all the way to October 26th of 2000, US PlayStation launch. You get your DOA 2 Hardcore, the first title to carry this name, with a very plain box art. This has to be the most boring box art of the whole series. I mean, all there is a couple little screenshots and it's just very drab design on the cover. So that was the only American PlayStation 2 version released. Then of course, right after that, December 14th of 2000, you get Dead or Alive 2 Hard Star Core, which is the Japanese version, which of course has a lot nicer cover art with Kasumi on the front here. And then finally, rounding out the whole thing is December 15th of 2000 was the European Dreamcast version with its beautiful cover art. If you see, here's Kasumi here, and there is Ayane and Helena. I know I showed this off in my collection video, but it's just really nice, and I still love this design. Only thing about this game, which is kind of weird, is this shares the same contents as this. These games are identical, but this is NTSC and that's PAL. I have a feeling the delay of this release happened because Sony was publishing it instead of Tecmo publishing it like the rest of the versions. But that's all your different versions of Dead or Alive 2, how they were released, and gives you a little bit more order to this chaos. Well, now I'm going to just take a quick look at the original version of DOA 2 for the PlayStation 2 and show you the various things it added. Now, since I don't have any way to play this on the PlayStation 2, the real disc, I'm going to run it off the hard drive I installed in the system. So all I have to do is have a specific PlayStation disc in the system. So I just put on the power. Let me just pan up here real quick so you can see what's going on. You'll see your normal PlayStation 2 boot logo coming up here. I don't know if you could hear that in the video, but the PlayStation 2 just made a hard drive sound. And then it loads into this alternate menu. I need to just take my controller here, press the X button, have it load up HD Loader version 0.8C. And you'll just hear the hard drive start to rev in the background. I don't know if you can really hear that with my loud voice here. And then all I'm going to do is select Dead or Alive 2. And of course I had installed Dead or Alive 2 PAL because I wanted to see if the contents were the same as the USA version, which I just mentioned they were. So now we're just going to go right into this. And it loads our save file, and here we go. Okay, of course, here's the regular old Tecmo logo like you normally see. And fans of this game will notice the missing Dead or Alive Tecmo Team Ninja thing that pops up. And as you notice, there are a few added costumes in this version of the game as compared to the previous versions. And just in case you're wondering, the reason that the costumes load up so quickly is because it's loading off of the hard drive. And the only reason that the model outfit for Tina and the opera dress for Helen are present here is because I'm using a special hacked save that allows you to use those two costumes and a special costume for Kasumi, which a lot of people should know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to pick the model outfit for Tina here. And in the Dead or Alive 2 Hardcore, the Japanese version, Tina actually has a very similar costume to this, except it doesn't have nearly all the glitches of this version, as I'll probably point out here and there during this video footage, because if you notice there, the coat doesn't actually clip her legs properly. It kind of gets cut off. And you'll notice her skirt got clipped by her legs right there. That always happens. And you'll notice that the rock, of course, isn't visible either. That's another thing that's kind of weird with the costumes that aren't supposed to be used in the game, is that any accessory that the character would use does not show up in the game. And I remember when I first played Dead or Alive 2, I thought this scene looked amazing because it was like this desert place with all the rocks and everything. It just looked so realistic to me at the time, considering, you know, this was 2000, and that was something you really didn't see in a game as of that point. And you get a better view of how the skirt got clipped by her legs there. Now here's Bass getting all mad that Tina's all popular and everything, about to rip down her poster. Then realizing that he probably shouldn't do that, because it'd probably be detrimental to her. And that's another thing you're going to notice about this version of the game as opposed to just about every other version. This version actually lacks the English subtitles. They're not even there anywhere. You can't turn them on. If you want to play this game, you gotta play it without the subtitles. But honestly, most people who'd be playing Dead or Alive as much as I do kind of know what they're saying at this point, so it's kind of not a mystery anymore. You kind of more or less memorize the lines of dialogue. And if you see that really quick, that's actually another glitch to these costumes that shouldn't be in the game. Basically, she was about to land on Leon there, but it kind of just like stopped her in midair. And of course, you notice right there, the mirror was also non-present. That's another thing I don't really understand, why the subtitles weren't present in this version. My only hypothesis would be that the Dreamcast and PlayStation 2 versions were developed by two different teams, and they just never got added to this version. Not like this version was ported from the other one or anything. Since it's only a month apart, I doubt there was too much collaboration between the two versions. But the most anybody got as extra costumes were like 2 or 3 for this version. And then of course here's our danger zone once again, with the explosive pillars being put into the thing. Ayane using her C1 there. That's one costume that I always liked on Ayane, the original C1, the purple dress with the red details. I always thought it looked really cool. And of course, as I was mentioning in some of the other videos, if you notice here, you once again have your moving danger zone, which sadly is something that cannot be used in tag team mode. I don't know if it was a limitation of the PlayStation 2 or if it was a just a decision because they didn't want to have problems with slowdown or anything. That could be a good possibility there. And then, of course, here's the infamous cutscene between Tina and Bass. He's saying something like, grow up to be a lady. And in the USA Dreamcast version, North American version, if you will, in that version it said, grow up to be a gentlewoman. Whereas it got fixed in the next subtitled version, which I believe was the European version where instead of saying a gentlewoman, it said grow up to be a lady. And of course, that's what they went with when they actually dubbed it. So he's just kind of like, grow up to be a lady. And of course, the way they dub this is he's like stubborn kid, and she's like, I learned it all from you, father. And then of course, here's Tengu. And when I remember when I first saw this, I was thinking, oh my god, this guy is so evil, and he's gonna totally destroy me or something. And then he does this whole thing where he flies away, and then the rain just simply goes away, which, to this day, I'm still wondering why the rain was there and now it's not there. And that's another thing you'll notice really quick in this version of Dead or Alive 2. This is present in all versions of Dead or Alive 2 for PlayStation 2. In order to reinforce the whole idea that everything is his delusion, you now have the screen getting like kind of blurrier whenever Tengu is winning, more or less. And I definitely had to admit that in this scenario here, I was kind of not doing as well as I wish I'd been able to do, so I kind of lost there. And of course, it always starts out really foggy to show you that you're really like in his delusion. You have to basically fight your way out. And if you see here, what I should be able to do here in this one is now it's getting like really clear because I'm actually winning. So that's what happens in this battle. When you win the game, you get more of that clearness, so you can actually see what Tengu is actually doing. And sadly, that fight I lost once again. And I remember the way that they actually subtitled him when he's like, Tengu Do, is it just says the Way of the Tengu. Kind of like, if you ever played Way of the Samurai, the Japanese name for Way of the Samurai was Samurai Do, which is the Way of the Samurai. Yeah, and Tengu has a lot of very brutal reversals. Like, he'll grab you and slam you on the ground, or even swirl you around his head even. You just gotta watch out for that guy. And that's all there is to say for Tengu here. And regardless of what costume selected, she always has this outfit on when she's doing this cutscene. In fact, that's where the outfit's from. It's not really meant to be played in the game. As you noticed here, they don't have any of the problems that they would have in the game. And then Bass is all mad that Tina's on the screen once again. And he even smashes his TV. Well, that's all for the story mode of this version. Let's go take a look at the next thing I want to show you. Well, as you can see, Dead or Alive 2 was improved a decent amount on the PlayStation 2 for this version here. And then, of course, as I'd mentioned later on, you get versions like these, and of course, even this one, that add even more stuff. This one here, of course, being the definitive version for this version of Dead or Alive 2. The only thing I find a little bit strange about this is Dead or Alive 2 Hardcore for Japanese and American PlayStation. They have DOA 2 Hardcore. This version, DOA 2 Dead or Alive 2 for the European PlayStation 2, this is the actual logo it displays in the game. It says DOA 2 Dead or Alive 2 instead of DOA 2 Hardcore. My only guess would be that DOA 2 Hardcore was maybe too hardcore for European audiences. It really makes no sense to me, but that's how the game displays when you start it up. But now that we got a firm thing of what was added for the PlayStation 2 version, we're going to take a look at the tag team mode in DOA 2 Hard Star Core. Plus, I'm going to show you the new intro for this version of DOA 2. So let's take a look at this really quick. Okay, and of course it's that that thunderclap and the Team Ninja thing is once again back, and take a look at the new intro for this version.
You're not acting like a master. What is this tournament worth to you?
Money. It can save someone's life.
I see. I can buy that.
Are you the next one? I won't hold back, old man. Hey, Tina. From today, you'll be my student.
Okay, that was almost the whole How Do You Feel song. They cut off a little bit on the end there. Now, if you notice, there are a few more options than there were in the other ones. They have the item gallery here. Those are the items that you get in your survival. And now there also is the CG gallery, which you can view various CGs of the various girls in this game. There's 3 pages here that you can view that are various promotional and just special renders of the girls. And we're going to go right into our tag team battle mode here. You can do various options where you do 1, 2 players. And the other thing that always bothered me here is the quick selector you can't turn off in this mode, so you have to just view these quick little portraits. I'm just going to select one of my best teams in this game, and I'm going to actually put it on the special turbo mode, which is only available in this version of the game. And if you didn't notice by the intros, I have the English voices enabled, which were first available in the USA version, the Dead or Alive 2 Hardcore, and then later on they would go to the Japanese and Euro versions as well. And if you're a longtime fan of DOA, you'll notice that the gameplay here is a lot faster than it would be in just a standard DOA match, because it's turbo mode. Kind of like if you had your Super Street Fighter 2, it has like your Turbo 1, 2, and 3 modes. That's one thing I always thought was funny when Zach tags in the English voices. He's always like, "Hit me," and I always think it's funny like when right then somebody just like nails him, just knocks him the hell down, and it's like, oh my god, you listen to him. And that's one thing I was mentioning in the previous video. You'll notice we're in the danger zone, but it's not moving, because I guess they figured during tag mode it wouldn't be a good thing to do that. And now you'll notice from seeing this stage here, the reason that I chose this version of Dead or Alive 2 is because they've actually added quite a few more tag stages, whereas the Dreamcast and the first PlayStation 2 version only all had that one danger zone scene you saw right there. Which I always wondered why they didn't add it for the Sega Dreamcast versions, like the limited edition, or yeah, the Japanese version, or limited edition if you will, because at that point the stages had been finished, but I guess either they didn't want to, or maybe they just wanted to make them exclusive to PlayStation 2. But it's a little nice touch that you have all these extra stages to play in. I always thought it was like dull just playing in one stage, that non-moving danger zone. And here's Bass and Tina. A little trick you can do, I actually tried to do it here, but I didn't do it soon enough, is when you're selecting tag team mode, if you press the start button instead of the X or circle button, depending on your version, it'll actually give you random teams instead of like Tina and Bass or Zack and Leon. It'll just randomly select two characters and put them in a team. If you want to mix it up a little bit and you want to make it a little bit easier, then yeah, it's definitely worth it. And that move that Ayane did a little while ago, where she like basically goes behind the character and then does that flip thing and lands on him, that's what has to be one of my favorite throws in this whole game. I always love that throw. It's really cool. And what's cool is, in this stage, the Octagon, it actually displays relevant stuff as to what's happening. If you read it, like it says something with murderous content, hardcore in the thing. I always thought that was a nice little feature with this. And it actually is saying who's fighting. It says Kasumi versus Jan Lee back there. Welcome to the D Octagon. And of course, if you're familiar with Dead or Alive, you'll know that in Dead or Alive 3, this became the X Octagon, and they added all spectator fans in the background. And this was the stage that you saw when it was the beginning, Tina fighting Bass.
Make up your mind.
And the reason why you saw the whole "you lose" screen there displayed for about a second is because actually I had lost the first time to Ain and Ryu Hayabusa here, because they just had done a lot of this crazy tag team combos and stuff, and they just really were able to beat me. So I had to do it again, so I just cut that bit of footage out because it just would have made this video go too long. And that's another thing you'll notice in Dead or Alive 2. I don't know if I had mentioned this before, but now Hayabusa can do an Exuna drop from a reversal. And this was one of those matches that I wasn't sure if I was actually going to win, because both my characters were very low on health, and Hayabusa is just crazy good sometimes. So yeah, I was happy that I was actually able to beat him. And when you tag in, I always find it weird how some of the characters just jump from, like, who knows where. And now what you're seeing here will be very reminiscent of Dead or Alive Plus on the arcade, where more or less the credits are showing, and you're seeing what you actually did when you were playing the game. And I just thought that was a really cool thing that they added here with this song that they entitled "You Make Me Feel So Good." Another thing that's worthy of noting is, instead of having the part with Genfu, Helena, and Li Feng as part of unrelated intro thing. It's now part of the full intro. Okay, let's move on now. As you could see, with all 4 versions of Dead or Alive 2 on the PlayStation 2, they added like a little thing here and there when you went from version to version. Kind of like the Dreamcast versions, and very similar to Street Fighter 2 when it was released in its various versions like Street Fighter 2 Special Championship Edition, Hyper Fighting, Hyper Street Fighter 2, you name it. But the thing was, this is a wonderful game. It's really great. The original version of DOA 2 is still one of my favorite DOA games to this day. But at this point, Tecmo thought they had the definitive version of their fighting game on their hands right now, and they thought they were completely done. This was it. Little would they know, years later, a new version would come out. And I will see you in my next video when we take a look at Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate for the Xbox. See you later.